They mocked me as the broke IT girlfriend at dinner. I exposed their federal crimes mid-meal. I had been dating Silas for 2 years, attending his family's elite Friday dinners at their penthouse every single week. The Sterling family prided themselves on radical transparency. No filters, no polite boundaries, just absolute brutal truth. I was a perpetual target, the working-class boyfriend who sat silently while they dissected every flaw I possessed. His father, Julian, explained it early on. We don't tolerate fragile egos here. We expose weakness to build titanium. If you want to marry my son, you better learn to bleed. Last Friday, about 20 minutes into the caviar course, it started. His sister Chloe stared at me. So, you're still doing that basic IT support thing? She laughed. God, Silas could have dated that European princess. Instead, he brings home a girl who repairs routers. Everyone chuckled. His brother Vance jumped in. Remember when she wore that cheap polyester suit to the gala? Dad, didn't you say she looked like a valet parking attendant who got lost? More manicured laughter. Julian grinned maliciously. I said she looked like she was about to ask me for a tip. Then his mother, Evelyn, started in. Silas showed me your apartment. Very Spartan. That's a gentle word for impoverished, right? She turned to Silas. Darling, your brand is ascending. Are you absolutely certain about carrying this dead weight? They kept digging. My public university degree versus their Oxford crests. My cheap gym bag instead of their polo club memberships. The fact that I drove a beat-up Honda. That I drank tap water instead of imported sparkling. I sat there slicing my duck, nodding occasionally. Heat climbed my neck and my vision blurred. But I had been sitting at this mahogany table for 104 Fridays. Sitting quietly while they arrogantly assumed I was just a mute spectator. Sitting in the parlor while they casually discussed their illegal maneuvers, assuming I didn't understand network architecture. After the espresso was served, Julian leaned back in his leather chair. You know what? We've been doing all the heavy lifting. What do you honestly think about this empire? Give us some radical transparency. Or are you too much of a coward? Silas nudged my ribs. Just play along. It's fine. You want my transparency? I asked, my voice dead calm. That is the mandate. Chloe smirked. Don't cry. I set down my silver fork. That's when the real bombshell dropped. Okay, perfect. I said. Chloe, that holistic wellness app you've been bragging about for 6 months, the one supposedly built on your ancient family recipes, how much of that $3 million valuation is based on the proprietary code you stole from that bankrupt startup in Berlin? Because Silas mentioned you've been fighting a massive shadow lawsuit, which is wild for a brand built on spiritual healing. Chloe's face went violently red. What are you talking about? And Vance, I continued, turning to his brother. Congrats on your Forbes 30 under 30 cover. Does your board know you paid a Russian click farm 80 grand to artificially inflate your user metrics? Because I was right there setting up your home network when you literally screenshotted the wire transfer. Funding a phantom user base is a federal crime, but I guess it matched your visionary aesthetic. Vance hyperventilated. Julian stared at me, paralyzed. Is this accurate? He barked. And speaking of wire transfers, I said, locking eyes with Evelyn. How's that art collection going? Silas had to siphon 200 grand from his trust last year to cover your silent auction debts. Then another $500,000 this spring. He's been selling off his startup equity to keep you from going to prison for tax evasion while you're bidding on stolen antiquities. Evelyn's face went chalk white. Julian's jaw unhinged. Evelyn, you swore that liquidation was for your sister's medical facility. He roared. I'm just being radically transparent. I whispered. It builds titanium, right? I looked dead at Silas's father. And Julian, since you're so intensely concerned about my impoverished background, does Silas know about your 24-year-old executive assistant? The one you lease a luxury condo for in the financial district? I saw you there last month when I was repairing a server in that building. You didn't notice me in the parking garage, but I definitely noticed you passionately kissing a girl younger than your own daughter. The penthouse exploded. Evelyn was screaming at the top of her lungs. Vance was frantically dialing his lawyers. Chloe ran sobbing toward the elevator. Julian slammed his fist on the table, demanding to know how I dared to disrespect him. You demanded my transparency, I hissed, standing up. I gave you 2 years of it. The next morning, Silas pounded on my door, eyes bloodshot, his voice cracking. You completely destroyed my dynasty, he yelled. I shared my constructive audit. I replied coldly. It builds character. Those were highly classified secrets, he screamed. So when your dad calls me a valet parking attendant in front of everyone, that's team building. When I mention your family's federal crimes, that's treason. I pulled out my phone and loaded the hidden folder. I shoved the screen into his chest. It displayed his private text threads to his PR manager. He called me his charity case girlfriend, bragging that dating a broke IT girl made him look grounded and relatable until his IPO launched, where he told Chloe I was just reputation management. We ended it right there in the hallway. Vance got indicted by the SEC after an anonymous tip triggered a digital audit. Chloe's app was stripped from the store when the original developers filed an injunction.